Chapter 541, Crossing Worlds, 8. Chapter 541, Crossing Worlds, 8. Dr. Archie snorted. This is still all right. It's not that difficult. At this moment, everyone could tell that Dr. Archie was stubborn. At the same time, they were extremely impressed by Jiao Xian. Jiao Xian is awesome. As expected of a super mechanical genius who was sucked into that place at the age of 13. As Jiao Xian finished showing it, be it the scientific research teams of Star Capital University or other universities, their expressions turned cold. Unbelievable. The most unbelievable thing was that Jiao Xian was only in his early 20s, but he had already developed this kind of technology that could move even legendary mechanics. It was a transcendent initial skill chip. And it was a high-level concealment skill. How much was Jiao Xian's mechanical proficiency? After Jiao Xian got off the stage, the media quickly took action like hungry dogs. They felt that this ethereal bracelet could definitely cause a new wave like the previous green cocoon. On the internet, the beast tamers were envious again and wanted one. Not bad. On Imperial Capital University's side, after Jiao Xian returned, the old principal of Imperial Capital University laughed and said, just as old Liu judged, the gold award of the mechanical conference will definitely be yours. Well, it's still hard to say. Jiao Xian was humble for a moment and said, after all, there are still so many financial groups and research teams who haven't gone on stage. There's no need to be too humble. Your research is extremely meaningful even in the previous mechanical meetings, the old principal of Imperial Capital University said with a smile. The next display team is Ancient Capital University, right? Jiao Xian took a deep breath and looked in the direction of Ancient Capital University. Well, the old principal of Imperial Capital University also looked over in confusion. She naturally saw the interview and knew that Ancient Capital University was displaying it with Shi Yu as the representative. You're concerned about that, Shi Yu? Don't worry, after this mechanical conference, you can definitely slowly surpass him, the old principal of Imperial Capital University encouraged with a smile. Although it was a little difficult, it was definitely not a problem to gradually narrow the gap. I hope so. Jiao Xian took a deep breath. He had an ominous feeling. A moment later, it was time for the 8th place, Ancient Capital University. The host was still introducing it. Then, let's invite the 8th team to showcase. It's a new archaeological machine brought by the archaeology department. A second-year student, Shi Yu. After the host finished speaking, everyone present felt that this scene was familiar. It seemed that someone had also participated in a certain meeting as an archaeologist. However, the last time was the feeding conference, and this time was the mechanical conference. As a powerful beast tamer, Shi Yu had graduated from the high school feeding department. It was fine if he knew a little feeding. But this time, the mechanical domain had nothing to do with him. I wonder what kind of archaeological machine it is, however, everyone was still curious. After all, Shi Yu was too famous. On the internet, pairs of eyes also became especially serious. After the host finished speaking, Shi Yu walked to the arena under the serious scrutiny of Elder Liu, Dr. Mai, President Ma, and Legend Xiao. At this moment, after Shi Yu went on stage, Bin Bears more than a meter tall also went on stage. As heartless porters, they carried a huge machine. Apart from that, a Bin Bear carried a display cabinet filled with ancient fossils up. As for Ling, he ran underground to be in charge of connecting and assembling. The huge machine was like an altar. In the center of the altar was a booth. Apart from that, there was nothing else. It was very simple. Seeing this, everyone gulped. They didn't understand what this was. An archaeological machine? They looked at another glass display cabinet that the iron-eating beast had carried up. They recognized the things on it. Weren't those strange rocks fossils? What was he doing? After Shi Yu went on stage, he looked at the entire venue and the judging table. Hello, everyone. Shi Yu smiled and said, as everyone can see, this is a machine used in archaeology. Moreover, it's a machine for archaeology through ancient biological fossils. This is also a research result that can change the current structure of the beast-taming domain and even the mechanical domain. Whoosh! When Shiyu finished speaking, everyone was in an uproar. Jiao Shen himself was stunned. Was he deliberately looking for trouble? This is the super archaeological genius ranked 5th under the age of 30 in Donghuang. Dr. Aki and the legend Zhu had also heard of Shiyu's famous name, but according to their understanding, this Shiyu was a genius archaeologist, not a mechanic. Now, what was going on? A research result that could change the current beast-taming domain structure and even the mechanical domain structure? Why was it the same tone as the super mechanical genius of Donghuang just now? What was going on? What was wrong with the young people of Donghuang? This, President Ma and the others were stunned. After all, logically speaking, Shiyu was here to showcase an ordinary new archaeological equipment. What was he saying? At the same time, under the cameras of many media outlets, Shiyu's figure was spreading crazily. Everyone's gazes gathered on Shiyu, wanting to see what this genius from the archaeological world had come across the world to do. Chapter 542, Crossing Worlds, 9. Chapter 542, Crossing Worlds, 9. Looking at Shiyu, he looked very confident. At this moment, under the gaze of everyone, Shiyu first walked to the counter filled with fossils and took out a tyrant dragon fossil. Everyone, look here first. This is a fossil of a tyrant dragon. The tyrant dragon is an earth overlord that has been extinct since the Totem era. It's a top-notch transcendent creature on the ground. At the moment, our archaeological research on the tyrant dragon can only rely on fossils. Then, Shiyu took out another sea dragon fossil and said, this is a fossil left behind by the sea dragon, a top-notch transcendent creature in the sea of the Totem era. He continued to take out a fossil and said, this is a fossil left behind by the wind god winged dragon, a top-notch transcendent creature in the sky of the Totem era. Shiyu held these fossils and said, they all have one characteristic. They have completely disappeared from this world. We don't have much to do with their archaeological research anymore. However, through this machine, we can restore their true appearance and even the state of the ancient world more clearly with these ancient fossils. Everyone, please wait and see. Under Shiyu's voice, everyone saw Shiyu place the 3 fossils on the display table of the huge archaeological machine. Then, the booth emitted light, and the light ball enveloped the 3 fossils. Then, the entire altar-like archaeological machine suddenly flickered. An extremely illusory huge projection appeared on the altar. This altar was like a virtual projection device. Through these fossils, it displayed a very magical scene. On the altar was an extremely unfamiliar environment. Some unknown special plants were everywhere, and the surrounding energy fluctuations were filled with natural wildness and ancient aura. Seeing the projection, many people were stunned. At this moment, Shiyu's voice slowly sounded. In the fossils of powerful ancient creatures, there will be traces of time. These traces of time will record the state experienced by some ancient creatures in the form of fossil dreams. However, it's very difficult to pry into this kind of fossil dream. Only through the transcendent dream steal skill and a special meditation technique created by Emperor Shi can there be a 1% chance of spying. Therefore, under normal circumstances, this kind of dream back to ancient times is impossible to achieve. Our research on ancient fossils also stopped here. However, through this machine, we can finally cross this step. Moreover, it can even materialize them in reality in the form of a dream illusion. As Shiyu finished speaking, a deafening roar came from the altar. The environment became a scene of the sky and the ground coexisting. In the sky, a streamlined wind god winged dragon with a wingspan of 11 meters swooped down and directly grabbed the tyrant dragon cub below to bite and kill. Wind element skill, ripping claw. The overlord aura on its body was incomparably rich, shocking everyone. Its green sharp claws instantly divided the tyrant dragon cub into 2. After the tyrant dragon cub was killed and hunted, on the ground, an incomparably huge tyrant dragon phantom condensed. It raised its neck and let out an angry roar, releasing the earth domain. It used the earth element to condense the space-splitting sword and slashed at the sky. Boom! The Overlord Aura tore apart the surrounding sky and tore off the single wing of the Wind God Winged Dragon. Gulp! A moment later, the Tyrant Dragon and the Wind God Winged Dragon disappeared, and the illusion turned into the sea. The humid aura made everyone feel that it was really the deep sea in front of them. A lizard-shaped ancient creature, the Sea Dragon, slowly appeared. It roared, and the deep sea immediately trembled. This is... Seeing the clear illusion of an ancient creature, many mechanics widened their eyes. Especially Legend Jew and Dr. Archie. They took a deep breath and were rather shocked. Be it those Wind God Winged Dragons or Tyrant Dragons, the various countries only had fossils and uncertain images. But now, Shiyu actually directly used this archaeological machine to display their three-dimensional forms and the environment they were in ancient times through illusions. On Imperial Capital University's side, the old principal and Jiao Xian of Imperial Capital University were stunned. They suddenly recalled something. When Shiyu challenged Imperial Capital University, the Butterfly of Imagination had conjured the phantom of the Tyrant Dragon. That was the ability of the Butterfly of Imagination. But now, Shiyu had actually modified this ability into a machine. This guy. Jiao Xian's expression froze. He didn't expect Shiyu to have such talent. But just this was not enough. Changing the situation. Stop kidding. At this moment, Shiyu stood in the arena and smiled. Unlike the images and habitat environment of ancient creatures simulated by other machines, this machine can directly spy on the traces of time on the ancient fossil itself. In other words, the illusions in front of me are all scenes they really experienced when they were alive. Through this machine, we can more accurately observe the full appearance of the ancient era. From these illusions, we can clearly discover those lost skills we've never heard of, ancient resources we've never seen, and extinct creatures we've never come into contact with. When Shiyu finished speaking, many mechanics cast shocked gazes. They didn't expect Shiyu to really be able to develop something useful. Chapter 543, Crossing Worlds, 10. Chapter 543, Crossing Worlds, 10. In front of the television, archaeologists and ancient scholars looked at the machine in shock. They found it unbelievable and immediately had a new opinion of Shiyu's talent. Even on Ancient Capital University's side, Principal Feng, Grandma Li, and the others were stunned. Wait a minute, wasn't he going to display the mechanical phantom beast? Didn't mechanical phantom beasts only materialize and create through the abilities of Shiyu and the Butterfly of Imagination? Why did Shiyu suddenly create an ancient phantom materialization machine? When did this happen? The illusion just now was indeed incomparably realistic. In fact, even super skills like the Earth Domain and the Overlord Aura could be displayed through the dream illusion. Unbelievable, this is a machine you developed? Elder Liu looked at Shiyu in disbelief. If it was developed by other mechanical masters, he would barely accept it. However, how was it possible for Shiyu, an outsider younger than Jiao Xian, to do this? That's right. This is the machinery I developed with the ability of my Butterfly of Imagination as the blueprint, Shiyu said with a nod. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Shuang and Xiao Qin were extremely stunned. Shiyu actually had mechanical talent? At the same time, the spectators who were originally looking forward to Shiyu's performance were also extremely shocked. They didn't expect Shiyu to actually develop such a high-end machine. However, there are also beast tamers who have mastered the ability you mentioned in the Shenfeng nation. They're called Dream Stealers. This one of yours is indeed a very impressive invention. It can be considered a perfect combination of machinery and archaeology. However, it's not enough to say that it's rewriting the structure of the beast taming and even the mechanical domain, right? Dr. Archie asked. Although this research result was indeed extraordinary, forget about rewriting the structure, it was even far inferior to Jiao Xian's research results. At most, it was slightly stronger than the dream training device of Star Capital University. I never said that I was done showing it. Shiyu chuckled. At this moment, under the control of Ling backstage, the machine once again conjured illusions through the three fossils. In the next moment, accompanied by 3 roars, the huge bodies of the 3 ancient overlords appeared in reality again. They descended around Shiyu in the form of illusions. Shiyu slowly walked to the display cabinet containing fossils. He opened a drawer and took out 3 mechanical soul heart fruits. These were made by the soul heart fruits created by Baby Ginseng and the smart chip. With the 3 mechanical soul heart fruits in hand, Shiyu slowly walked back to the spot. At this moment, no one knew what Shiyu wanted to do, but in the next moment, the 3 ancient overlords suddenly opened their mouths. At the same time, Shiyu threw the 3 mechanical fruits he had just taken out into their mouths. This is... What's going on? What did he feed those illusions? Shiyu's actions confused everyone. However, what was even more confusing was still to come. After eating the mechanical soul heart fruit, the auras of the 3 ancient overlords suddenly began to change. A dazzling white light flickered on the 3 huge overlords. This scene that looked like the light of evolution directly stunned everyone. Under the flickering of the evolution light, the bodies of the 3 huge beasts began to change. They didn't expand, but shrank as the light flickered. Soon, their bodies shrank to more than a meter. Then, their full appearance appeared in everyone's vision. It was more than a meter tall, and its entire body was yellow-brown, like a baby tyrant dragon. Its pupils flickered with light. It spread its wings for more than a meter and was completely grey, but it still retained the posture of a wind god winged dragon. As for the young sea dragon, it was lying on the ground like a huge lizard. At this moment, when they saw the 3 huge illusions suddenly shrink, everyone couldn't react for a moment. But in the next moment, the detection device on the huge screen was activated. Everyone was naturally familiar with this detection device. Previously, a team had created new mechanical pets and used detection devices to test energy and other data. This was a device specially used to detect the various attributes and energy information of transcendent creatures. It was one with this exhibition venue. At this moment, under everyone's incomprehension, several rows of words appeared on the huge screen. Race name, Mechanical Tyrant Dragon. Attributes, Machinery, Earth. Race level, Low-level Monarch. Level of growth, Transcendent. Race skill, Advanced Intelligence, Earth Domain. Energy points, 3143. Name a mechanical wind god winged dragon, Machinery Beast. Attributes, Machinery, Wind. Race level, Low-level Monarch. Level of growth, Transcendent. Race skill, High-level Intelligence, Ripping Claw, Wings of the Wind God. Energy points, 3019. Name a mechanical sea dragon, Machinery Beast. Attributes, Machinery, Water. Race level, Low-level Monarch. Level of growth, Transcendent. Race skill, High-level Intelligence, Water Dragon Bite Explosion, Water Dragon Bullet. Energy points, 3080. Machinery Beast Revival successful. At this moment, the entire place suddenly fell silent. Everyone's brains couldn't react for a moment. They looked at the 3 smaller creatures that were identical to the tyrant dragon, the wind god winged dragon, and the young sea dragon. For a moment, their breathing was a little rapid. They looked at the words on the screen in confusion. Chapter 544, Crossing Worlds, 11. Chapter 544, Crossing Worlds, 11. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Elder Liu was suddenly stunned. Dr. Mai widened her eyes. President Ma's mouth opened slightly. Legend Ju from the 7 Islands took a deep breath. As for Shenfeng's Dr. Aki, he directly faced Shiyu. Dr. Aki, this is the real result. Supplementing it with a special mechanical soul heart fruit, the greatest use of this research result is to perfectly materialize the illusions of ancient creatures. Then, with the mechanical system, these illusions will be revived in the modern era in the way of mechanical phantom beasts. Although they will lose most of their power after reviving, they can still preserve a portion of their power. As everyone can see, these 3 mechanical phantom beasts that revived in the form of mechanical lives each preserve a super-racial skill. straightforward research on mechanical phantom beasts will be more convenient for archaeological exploration of the Totem era. As Shi Yu finished speaking, the legendary mechanic from Shenfeng had already widened his eyes and revealed an incredulous expression. How is this possible? At the same time, Jiao Xian, who was sitting in the Imperial Capital University seat, also shouted with his mouth open. He stared at everything and said, "How is this possible? How could an ancient creature phantom become a mechanical life form? With that mechanical fruit just now, with this machine? How was this possible?" At this moment, all the mechanics present widened their eyes. They really couldn't believe this scene, but in order to make them believe, Shi Yu chose to continue the experiment. He looked at the audience, at Legend Xiao Shuang, and in the direction of General Slao Qin. At this moment, Legend Xiao Shuang, a genius mechanic, also widened her beautiful eyes in disbelief. This was because her mechanical index had also detected the life fluctuations of these mechanical phantom beasts. What Shi Yu said was true. These mechanical phantom beasts were real life forms. It's very simple to verify. Shi Yu smiled and said, "Now, which audience is willing to contract these 3 mechanical phantom beasts and give it a try?" Shi Yu's words resounded in the audience like a bolt from the blue. In the direction of Ancient Capital University, Dean Hao was the first to run down. He had been waiting for this moment. He said excitedly, "I still have a contract slot. Ancient Capital University, Mechanical College, Dean Hao." Everyone knew this old man. Although he wasn't a top-notch mechanical master in the mechanical field, he was still very capable to be the dean of one of the 9 major universities. At this moment, Dean Hao came down excitedly and walked onto the arena. Then, under Shi Yu's nod, he excitedly contracted the mechanical wind god winged dragon of the 3 mechanical phantom beasts. A purple contract halo appeared. Under the silence, the mechanical wind god winged dragon blinked its clear eyes like a cub and accepted the contract of the old man in front of it without any resistance. In the next moment, it was a scene that all beast tamers were extremely familiar with. The wind god winged dragon that was just an illusion was directly contracted by Dean Hao into the beast taming space in the form of a pet life. The purple light dissipated, and the wind god winged dragon disappeared from the scene. Then, it was summoned by Dean Hao again. With a cry, it flew into the sky, and its wings emitted a green dragon-shaped light. It directly used the super skill that had been lost for tens of millions of years, the wind god wings. As everyone can see, this is the skill that has been lost for tens of millions of years, the wings of the wind god. Through this method, the lost skill can also appear again. Shi Yu's voice echoed throughout the venue. "I don't believe it." At this moment, Jiao Xian couldn't sit still in his original seat. He widened his eyes and wanted to get up, but he was immediately pressed down by the equally shocked principal of Imperial Capital University. "Little Xian, what are you planning to do?" "I want to hit the wall and see if I'm dreaming." At this moment, Jiao Xian's heart was beating crazily, and tears welled up. He looked at this scene in disbelief. What was going on? At this moment, everyone was shocked. They looked at Dean Hao and the wind god winged dragon in disbelief, and at the same time, at the tyrant dragon cub and the sea dragon cub. How was this possible? How could an ancient creature revive? Was this a miracle? No, this was a miracle. Everyone looked at the machines on the arena in confusion and at the people and beasts on the arena. Mechanics, archaeologists, and beast tamers watching the live broadcast all over the country had their eyes glued to the screen. They hugged the screen and observed in disbelief. How is this possible? Even the legendary big boss of the 4th Bureau, Old Master Liu, spoke in disbelief, unable to understand this phenomenon. How exactly did you do it? The legendary mechanic Mai Xiaoying said in shock. I don't understand. The mechanic from the 7 Islands felt that this world was so unfamiliar. Dr. Aki of Shenfeng didn't know how to evaluate the thing in front of him. His words were stuck in his throat. This is what I want to show. The ancient beast revival system can revive ancient creatures into the modern era in the form of mechanical lives through fossils. At the moment, there are two major systems in the mechanical field: smart life forms and biological modification. I think mechanical phantom beasts can completely form a three-way structure with the first two. This is because they have the common advantage of the two. The mechanical soul heart fruit contains intelligent chips that can allow them to infinitely increase their intelligence like intelligent life forms. At the same time, their bodies have inherited the power of ancient powerful creatures. Moreover, due to the speciality of the phantom body, the risk of mechanical modification is much lower than that of living creatures. In fact, at the phantom stage before revival, they can already be modified without harming the safety of the creature. Chapter 545, Crossing Worlds, 12. Chapter 545, Crossing Worlds, 12. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. We've already carried out strict experiments on this. With that said, Shiyu summoned the mechanical phantom beasts that had been modified in the ruined space. If the three that had just revived still retained the complete appearance of ancient creatures, then the one Shiyu summoned now, while retaining the appearance of ancient creatures, were all mechanical weapons. Roar! Under everyone's stunned expressions, mechanical winged dragons in armor, mechanical sword dragons holding mechanical swords, and mechanical armored dragons carrying mechanical shields and cannons appeared in front of everyone. It attacked everyone's values again, making them open their mouths wide. This wasn't the end. Shiyu said, apart from archaeology, this device can also mass-produce ancient mechanical phantom beasts through high-level fossils that contain a large amount of energy, creating a batch of new mechanical pets with potential and extraordinary strength. Just like now, they can be contracted. But this way, it will continue to consume the energy of the fossil. Of course, it can also directly give the power of the entire fossil to a mechanical phantom beast. This way, the power it can inherit will be stronger. With that said, Shiyu summoned another mechanical tyrant dragon. This mechanical tyrant dragon was wearing hardened armor. It was several meters tall and especially domineering. Boom! An incomparable aura erupted from its body. It was the tyrant dragon that Shiyu had experimented with at the start. Now, it had been completely studied by Ling. Roar! I am the king of the earth! Under its roar, its information appeared on the screen. Race name, Mechanical Tyrant Dragon. Attributes, Machinery, Earth, Thunder. Race level, Low-level Overlord. Level of growth, Transcendent. Super racial skill, Earth Domain, Earthquake. Energy points, 7114. In fact, as long as the level of the fossil is high enough and the mechanical modification materials are top-notch, it's not impossible to revive an Overlord race's mechanical phantom beast. Shiyu's words were like a thunderclap in everyone's ears. Mechanics looked at the venue one by one. At this moment, these legendary mechanics and ordinary mechanics were already completely stunned. The audience on the internet gradually lost their ability to think. However, what made them numb was that Shiyu was still talking and stimulating them. This beast. In general theory, if the ancient fossils of the Totem era can be revived, then the mythical creature fossils of the mythical era might be able to be revived. Although there have been no successful cases now, I believe that as long as we invest the money and continue researching, reviving divine beasts and materializing mythical creatures into the beast-taming era to revive in the form of machinery, it might not be impossible. Shiyu said, "I'm done." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place continued to be dead silent. This is also a research result that can change the current structure of the beast-taming domain and even the mechanical domain. Initially, everyone still felt that Shiyu's words were ridiculous, especially Dr. Aki from Shenfeng. But now, this was more than mere changing. This was simply tearing apart and rebuilding. The mechanical legends of the Fourth Bureau looked at Shiyu in shock. They looked at this archaeologist who had suddenly come to participate in the mechanical conference for no reason and the members of Bureau 11 who had come to participate in the mechanical conference and were a little stunned. Who told them what was going on? It was fine if he came to participate, but was this result serious? What the hell was this research result? How could it even create an Overlord race mechanical pet? What was even more ridiculous was that this guy wanted to revive a mechanical divine beast. What's wrong with this guy? Legend Xiao Shuang said in shock. Wasn't this guy still a mechanical noob previously? Why did he suddenly become even more strange than a group of super mechanical masters in the Fourth Bureau? This was something that a mechanical noob could develop? At the side, General Xiao Qin was also extremely confused, but her gaze stared at the mechanical sea dragon with yearning. There were beast tamers staring at those mechanical phantom beasts with yearning everywhere. Fang Lan's red face was filled with urgency. She wanted it so much. This, the host looked at the judging table and kept feeling that the scene was a little out of control. He kept feeling that everyone was already stunned by the results. On the judging table, many big shots were silent. Even the Shenfeng legend, who was extremely arrogant just now, cracked at this moment. He suddenly felt that Dong Huang was a little ridiculous. Damn, an archaeologist researched an archaeological machine? What a joke! Were the people of this country serious? Chapter 546, The Fourth Bureau, Shiyu, 1. Chapter 546, The Fourth Bureau, Shiyu, 1. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. At the National Science and Technology Exhibition Center. A silent aura filled the entire place, and countless people looked at the venue. Many legendary mechanics on the platform wanted to say something but hesitated. Mechanical phantom beast. Collect the common merits of intelligent life and biological modification. How ridiculous! The advantage of intelligent life machinery was that it could fuse with intelligent chips and constantly increase its learning ability. It could be used to assist in various jobs and had a rich skill pool. As for biological modification, it could make up for the racial shortcomings of some pets through the mechanical system and specifically strengthen their merits, making them stronger. The two couldn't be combined because there was a conflict between the smart chip and life intelligence. However, what this mechanical phantom beast meant was, not only could it inherit the powerful race of ancient creatures and modify it, but it could also make the smart chip its intelligence core. This. A path that had always been imagined but never realized. The thing was, there was more. Most importantly, he used just a portion of the power of the three fossils to create three mechanical creatures of monarch races. Using an entire fossil could potentially create an overlord race. What was even more ridiculous was that it actually said that there was hope of reviving a divine beast. Fortunately, Shiyu didn't really successfully revive the divine beast at the conference. Otherwise, he would probably directly become the fuse for the next totem battle. Da. Old Liu, who was in the Fourth Bureau, clicked his old teeth. Obviously, he was shocked to the extreme. At this moment, he had completely forgotten about his student, Jiao Xian, and the mechanical conference. He only wanted to satisfy his curiosity. He said, then, those three fossils are all level 7 fossils, right? How many of these mechanical phantom beasts can be created with these level 7 fossils? Apart from fossils, what's the cost of this machine? Shiyu looked at Elder Liu and said, a level 7 fossil can be revived with this device. With mental energy and spatial energy as energy, it can probably create about 100 mechanical phantom beasts of monarch races or mechanical phantom beasts of overlord races. The cost of the machine isn't high, and the energy cost of materializing illusions isn't very high either. However, the creation of the mechanical soul heart fruit is a little troublesome, but I've already completed a stable manufacturing channel. It can be used on a large scale. BA. Old Liu was shocked. A fossil could actually create so many mechanical phantom beasts. This system was actually so perfect. There weren't many fossils, but there were definitely a good number. In various places, it wasn't a rare resource. The collection value was greater than the use value, but such a pile of collection resources could actually be converted into so many pets with powerful potential. The initial stage was a low-level monarch race. After all, the greatest characteristic of mechanics was that the replication of upgrades and evolution was extremely high. In addition, mechanical phantom beasts had the merits of intelligent life and biological modification. It was not wrong to say that their potential was huge. Moreover, the significance of an overlord species pet was much greater than 100 monarch species. Even if it was a one-time use, if there were hundreds of mechanical phantom beasts of overlord races, Dong Huang's national strength would greatly increase. You said that this machine referenced skills like Dream Steal and Phantom Illusion. Then, if we don't rely on machines and use skills like Dream Steal and Illusory Phantom to materialize the dream illusions of living overlord level and totem level creatures, can we also transform them into mechanical phantom beasts? Dr. Mai asked with rapid breathing, suddenly thinking of this possibility. Below, Shiyu was stunned. He said regretfully, I've thought of that too, but unfortunately, reviving mechanical phantom beasts requires the power of time. Only the ancient phantom with traces of time conjured from the ancient fossil containing traces of time and the mechanical soul heart fruit that contains the power of time can allow the ancient phantom to revive in the modern era. However, Shiyu looked up with a smile and said, however, as long as we perfectly preserve the bones of the powerful creatures now, many years later, they might also contain traces of time. At that time, they can be like the heroic spirit ruins in the ancient capital, passing the power of the powerful guardian of our era to the future to form a stable mechanical phantom beast system. Shiyu's answer made the mechanics present curse. A stable, overlord race cultivation channel? Although the time span was a little long as it lasted for 10,000 years, it seemed like it could really be formed. Keeping the body parts of powerful creatures was much easier than letting overlord creatures give birth to a child. Shiyu's invention was even more impressive than Emperor Shi's heroic spirit ruins. Of course, not every powerful creature can accept such a method, but the fossils that this world has preserved for hundreds of millions of years are enough for us to develop this system, Shiyu said. Blue Planet was different from Earth. Ancient creatures were also transcendent creatures. It was easier for them to leave traces. Therefore, on Blue Planet, there were many fossils of ancient creatures, especially fossils of powerful creatures. Therefore, even if fossils were consumables, the fossils accumulated over hundreds of millions of years on Blue Planet were still a considerable number. Compared to worrying about not having enough fossils, it was better to worry about the production-consumption of the mechanical soul heart fruit. After all, without the support of the ginseng baby, it was still quite troublesome to nurture it on a large scale. Chapter 547, The Fourth Bureau, Shiyu, 2. Chapter 547, The Fourth Bureau, Shiyu, 2. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. In short, next, it might start the fossil fever in the country. A large number of beast tamers would devote themselves to the mechanic excavator specialization and dig rocks everywhere. Yes, that's indeed the case. Dr. Mai was dazzled as she looked at the young man in shock. She was very familiar with Shiyu. Her two daughters had come into contact with Shiyu, but she never expected that the genius beast tamer her two daughters mentioned could one day cause such a huge impact on her in the mechanical field. President Ma of Star Capital originally thought that the shock from watching the battle between Shiyu and Jifeng was big enough. At that time, when he heard that Shiyu wanted to participate in the mechanical conference, he didn't think too much about it. However, he didn't expect that Shiyu didn't follow the routine. He didn't follow the routine. Was he still human? It was fine if his battle power was so impressive, but archaeology and feeding were also so powerful. The key was that now, his mechanical achievements had also become epoch-making results. How could he be like this? What would other geniuses think? Of course, the most shocked were still the two foreign friends. Regarding the annual mechanical conference of Dong Huang, they had originally come with the mentality of watching a show. But now, they gradually realized that their brains weren't enough. The legendary beast tamer of the Seven Islands, Madame Zhu Qianyao, suppressed her trembling heart and felt that it was ridiculous. It was difficult to imagine that she had only come to Dong Huang to exchange and learn symbolically at the request of the higher-ups. During this process, she actually encountered such an epoch-making invention. Moreover, such an epoch-making invention was invented by a 20-year-old young man from another country. What did Shiyu say he invented it for? Yes, archaeology. He called this an archaeological machine? He wanted to understand the mythical era and directly revive a divine beast and ask it directly, right? This person has to be remembered. Legend Zhu Qianyao looked at Shi Yu carefully and thought that she definitely had to transmit the news of Shi Yu and the mechanical phantom beast back to the country. This person was simply a super genius that only appeared once in 100 years. If only she could dig him to the 7 islands. At the moment, the 7 countries were in an alliance. Unlike the totem clans who wanted to destroy the geniuses of the 7 countries, the 7 countries were relatively harmonious on the surface. If a large-scale totem battle occurred in a country, the other countries would even send more troops. In this context, the 7 countries usually used various methods to poach the geniuses of other countries to their countries to serve their countries. Zhu Qianyao saw that Shi Yu was young and should be at the stage where he was facing countless temptations. No matter how much it cost, it was worth it to dig up such a talent. Why would such a genius appear in Donghuang? Is it really just an archaeologist? Dr. Archie of Shenfeng also fell into a deep silence. At this moment, he didn't know what to say, because with his shallow mechanical knowledge, he actually couldn't understand how this mechanical phantom beast revived. Forget about this machine, what was that so-called mechanical soul heart fruit? Spiritual energy, spatial energy, and the power of time that Shi Yu mentioned just now. How could such a little kid play with the technological system of space and time? Dr. Archie didn't understand. At this moment, the entire venue was still in a strange atmosphere. Everyone stared intently at the mechanical phantom beast on the arena and the fossils on the stage. They actually didn't want Shi Yu to leave at all. The skill training machine and the ethereal bracelet didn't give them much of an impact, but this so-called archaeological machine simply filled them with curiosity. Tell them more, introduce more. There were still so many fossils. Revive more for them to see, don't stop. The first 2 were only effective in fixed domains. The skill training device was for low-level beast tamers with superior family backgrounds who were willing to work hard. The latter was for master-level beast tamers who often carried out dangerous missions and could afford the ethereal bracelet, or for beast tamers in the army to distribute it uniformly. It had little to do with them. However, the results Shi Yu brought were completely to open up a new domain. It could lead to a new industry and let countless people dig up fossils. It could also lead countless mechanics to devote themselves to the research of the mechanical phantom beast domain. It could even let a powerful race like the mechanical phantom beast attack the current beast taming structure and form a complete chain. At that time, traditional beast tamers, feeders, archaeologists, and mechanics would all go crazy. Moreover, Shi Yu even drew a big picture and said something about reviving divine beasts. The mythical domain was the common pursuit of beast tamers for millions of years, the highest pursuit. Lost, completely lost. Professor Mo Qing of Star Capital University smiled bitterly with shock. When Jiao Xian went on stage, he originally wanted to struggle, but Shi Yu's research results directly crushed everything. He originally thought that it was just a dream device, but immaterializing a dream or reviving a dream illusion was simply a legendary method. Such an invention would probably even alarm that mechanical legend. Shi Yu? At Imperial Capital University, Jiao Xian still couldn't calm down. Shouldn't the mechanical conference be the stage for him to display his results? Shouldn't the normal script be for him to win the gold award of the mechanical conference and leap into the sky with this? Why did Shi Yu, an archaeologist, also come to interfere and do this? He felt that the mechanical god was joking with him. Chapter 548, The Fourth Bureau, Shi Yu, 3. Chapter 548, The Fourth Bureau, Shi Yu, 3. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Suddenly, Jiao Xian thought of something and recalled a comment on the internet. That silly guy called I'm Not Buggy predicted that Shi Yu would develop a new mechanical faction. Initially, Jiao Xian looked at this comment like he was looking at a fool, but now, he was suddenly a little confused and felt that reality was a little unreal. He quickly took out his cell phone and went to the blacklist to find that I'm Not Buggy, but he suddenly realized that this account has been deleted. Jiao Xian? At this moment, although no one wanted Shiyu to leave the stage, it still had to end. Ling, who was in the form of a Rubik's Cube, had already come out from backstage and floated beside Shiyu's shoulder. It was being crazily photographed by the media with him. At this moment, Xiao Qin and Xiao Shuang's mother, the legendary mechanic Mai Xiuying, took a deep breath and asked Shiyu one last question. "Did you really develop such a device just for archaeology?" Shiyu was stunned. "Not entirely. Speaking of which, when I was young, my greatest dream was actually to be an astronaut and ride the machinery I created to the starry sky. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't have the financial conditions to go pursue the mechanic class. Becoming a beast tamer and an archaeologist is something for the future. My greatest dream when I was young was to be a legendary mechanic. Now, half of my dream has been fulfilled." Shiyu sighed. Who didn't have the dream of being a space person and a scientist when they were young? Upon hearing that, many mechanics were silent and sighed bitterly. Yes, if they remembered correctly, although Shiyu was a genius, he seemed to be an orphan. Mechanics were indeed not something that such a family could come into contact with. Only after Shiyu rose through his archaeological talent could he return to fulfill his dreams. Dr. Mai was also extremely emotional. Unfortunately, if only Shiyu had come into contact with the mechanic class from the start. No, it wasn't too late now. She wanted this person in the 4th Bureau. However, at the same time, many spectators had strange expressions, such as Dr. Zui, Xia Qingwei's family, and President Yi of the 3rd Bureau of the Feeding Bureau, who were watching the mechanical conference before the live broadcast. Wait, wasn't your childhood dream to be a legendary feeder? How many dreams did he have? Can he say them all at once and let them be mentally prepared? At this moment, because the mechanical conference was broadcasted live on the internet, the country was already in an uproar. In Ancient Capital University, the mechanics students were also paying attention to the mechanical conference. A portion of the mechanics of Ancient Capital University were forced to accept transfers here. A portion of them really liked machinery, but because their results were poor, they only got into the mechanic class of Ancient Capital University and didn't get into Imperial Capital or Star Capital University. After coming to Ancient Capital University, although the mechanic class of Ancient Capital University was more than enough to teach them, and the mechanic knowledge of Ancient Capital University couldn't be learned even after 10 years. Every time they saw any extremely influential mechanical results from other schools, they looked at their own schools and the archaeological machine research projects they participated in. The mechanic students of Ancient Capital University couldn't help but sigh. It was at the bottom of the professional food chain of the major universities. But today, they watched the entire mechanical conference in a daze. In the end, they were simply impressed. They all blushed. They understood that the mechanic class of Ancient Capital University was about to take off this time. Just like the feeding department and the battle department, it was about to take off. Moreover, it was the same person who brought them up. This person was Big Boss Shiyu from the archaeology department next door. Of course, at this moment, the students from the archaeology department and the battle department of Ancient Capital University, such as Yu Shu, Wang Ling, and the others who had seen the mechanical conference, also had strange expressions. It was difficult to understand. Shiyu, this beast, was he still human? Soon, as the display of Demon Capital University was completed, it barely struggled under the light. It was also time for the mechanical conference to take a break. During this process, the news of the mechanical phantom beast spread and fermented like a tsunami. Aki, the legendary mechanic from Shenfeng, left almost immediately and came to his room. He took a deep breath and took out a machine with a mechanical fruit logo. This machine was like a large cell phone or a small computer. Dr. Aki directly activated the machine. At the same time, on the other side of the ocean, in a very special communication room in this country with many titles such as the Nation of Divine Wind, the Nation of Divine Eagle, the Nation of Machinery, the Nation of Technology, and the Nation of Freedom, a young woman with wine-red hair and white skin was surprised and picked up the communication. Dr. Aki, what happened? At the moment, due to the totem area and various restrictions, the 7 countries couldn't communicate normally with technology at all. However, what Dr. Arky was using now was the latest research results of the Divine Wind Nation. Even if it crossed two countries, it could still communicate for a short period of time, but it would consume a lot of energy. At this moment, the contact person in charge of contacting Dr. Arky saw Dr. Arky, who was communicating and learning in Donghuang, suddenly activate this device and immediately realized that something big might have happened. Judy, listen to me first. Inform the association to collect ancient fossils from all over the country. I'll send you the specific reason after sorting it out. Chapter 549, The Fourth Bureau, Shiyu, 4. Chapter 549, The Fourth Bureau, Shiyu, 4. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Eh? The person named Judy was very surprised. Dr. Arky, what exactly happened? Do as I say. Dr. Arky said. Although Shenfeng had yet to master Shiyu's technology at the moment, Shiyu's invention had provided them with an idea. With the technological power of Shenfeng Nation that was so much stronger than Donghuang's, it might not be impossible to replicate. Judy was first stunned, then she suddenly thought of something and said, Dr. Arky, can you tell me about it first? What exactly did you discover? Why are you talking so much nonsense? Dr. Arky panicked. Judy was stunned. Because the Donghuang exchange team that came to Shenfeng previously bought a huge batch of ancient fossils from us to use as a friendly memorial for Dongfeng. It's quite a big batch. While buying a large number of mechanical materials, Donghuang also used other rare resources to exchange for relatively low-value fossils. Shenfeng was naturally happy to see this. GFFT. Dr. Arky's vision darkened and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. To hell with being friendly. Was this something a human could do? How can you guys give them away? He was furious. Those are core resources that are enough to impact the current structure of the mechanical field, a new mechanical faction. What? Judy was stunned. Dr. Arky sighed and said, a Donghuang person named Shiyu. He developed a new mechanical faction called the Mechanical Beast. Through the ancient fossil, he revived ancient lives. The core resource used is ancient fossils. It's all right. It's impossible for the other party to completely buy everything. Moreover, if it really doesn't work, we'll start a war with the totem country and snatch some, Dr. Arky said with a deep breath. Judy was still stunned and didn't react. She didn't understand what it was that made Dr. Arky, who looked down on the mechanical field of other countries, have such a high evaluation. Shiyu? Who is this? A legendary mechanic from Donghuang? Also, reviving ancient lives? She was deeply confused and shocked. God, was this not a miracle? Dr. Arky shook his head and said, this person is just a 20-year-old archaeologist. That day, in Shenfeng Nation, many legendary mechanics were shocked. This was the first time Shiyu's name had spread overseas in an extremely influential manner. This also gave Dr. Arky, who was in Donghuang, an important mission. He had to rope in and befriend this mechanical genius named Shiyu, as well as exchange this technology with Donghuang. The Shenfeng exchange team would immediately head to Donghuang. At that moment, during the intermission, Shiyu was so busy that he exploded. Because Legend Xiao Shuang, General Xiao Qin, Fanglan's parents, and Fanglan had all come to find him to see the mechanical phantom beast. Principal Feng, Dean Hao, and Grandma Li were naturally overjoyed the whole time. For Principal Feng, it was because Ancient Capital University was about to take off again. For Dean Hao, it was because the mechanic class was about to take off. In addition, he had contracted a mechanical phantom beast. According to Shiyu, the Wind God Winged Dragon Fossil plus Machinery Phantom Beast Sprout plus his own modification. This could completely reach the Overlord race in the future. This was even his first pet with Overlord potential. As for Grandma Li, or the greatest winner, she was originally the person who collected the most fossils in Donghuang. She was the highest authority in the fossil field. More than 60% of the rare fossils in Donghuang were in her hands. 2 months ago, she also bought a large number of foreign fossils through the Donghuang exchange team. This wave also took off directly. Of course, they had obtained benefits. Since Shiyu was the founder of this domain, there would definitely be many benefits in the future. Little Lan, do you have any thoughts in the future? When the time comes, I'll revive a mechanical phantom beast of a transcendent race for you first. This way, it'll be easier for you to contract it. In any case, you can still modify and upgrade it in the future. In the preparation area of Ancient Capital University, Shiyu smiled at Fang Lan. Sister Xiao Qin, do you want one? Don't you also know mechanical modification? I remember you still have a contract slot, right? Shiyu was naturally not stingy with his own people. Well, in the future, he would also arrange for mechanical phantom beasts for Senior Lin, everyone in Pingcheng, and Chang, and every member of the Environmental Protection Department. A monarch race could definitely attract people. Shiyu kept promoting these mechanical phantom beasts to his acquaintances and gave them to the Yu family. Thank you, Senior Shiyu. I want the Tyrant Dragon. Roar. Fang Lan almost hugged Shiyu's thigh. Fortunately, she was stopped by her parents. At the same time, Father Fang and Mother Fang advised her earnestly. The Tyrant Dragon was famous, but it couldn't fly. Their family studied aerial machinery. Was this appropriate? Xiao Qin was also rather embarrassed, but it was difficult to refuse. After all, it was a pet with overlord potential, and the mechanical sea dragon looked pretty good. It was very compatible with her Navy identity. It looked like she had to work hard for Shiyu to repay her debts. The Environmental Protection Department was so fragrant. Shiyu. Legend Xiao Shuang looked at Shiyu with a deep gaze, very confused. She said, you should understand what your research results mean, right? Shiyu also looked at Legend Xiao Shuang in the 4th Bureau and nodded heavily. It means that Sister Xiao Shuang, we can become colleagues soon. Xiao Shuang. Xiao Shuang opened her mouth slightly, but she couldn't refute because the 4th chat group had already exploded. Many mechanical big shots who had not appeared for a long time, and even some retired mechanical big shots, appeared one after another to discuss the mechanical phantom beast. This research result was undoubtedly worth the research of the entire country, just like the Green Cocoon system. Dr. Mai Xiaoying had even recommended to the Bureau to let Shiyu join the 4th Bureau and integrate the resources of the 4th Bureau to open the research of the mechanical phantom beast domain. The telepathy talent is very suitable to command the mechanical army and become the core. Why was such a talent and genius suitable for the mechanic class intercepted by Bureau 11, the 3rd, and the 1st Bureau first? It shouldn't be. But it's not too late now. He has already displayed such mechanical talent. It's indeed suitable to absorb it into the 4th Bureau to nurture. It's a pity to waste this good talent. Machinery Phantom Beast, a genius idea, and it actually succeeded. Impressive. By the way, who's Shiyu? Elder Hu, you're already 150 years old. Don't interfere in these things and retire in peace. Bastard, I'm not old yet. Moreover, aren't we encouraging old people to be agile and find jobs again now? This mechanical phantom beast is quite interesting. I want to help. Jiao Xian was silent in the group chat. He trembled and didn't dare to say a word. He should be the protagonist today. This was too much. Was this forcing him to develop a mechanical domain even more impressive than a mechanical phantom beast? Sister Xiao Shuang, are you here to invite me to join the 4th Bureau? Shiyu looked at the black-haired beauty in front of him. Xiao Shuang was speechless. How could he be so direct? However, judging from the discussion in the Bureau, there was an 80% chance that the 4th Bureau would accept Shiyu. They even had to beg Shiyu to come. After all, such a big project would undoubtedly become a national project. As the founder, Shiyu couldn't not have the corresponding identity. In order to better carry out this project, the seniors in the 4th Bureau definitely hoped that Shiyu would know more about the mechanic class and accept the system's mechanical training like Jiao Xian. At the same time, they could also obtain more information on mechanical phantom beasts from Shiyu. Xiao Shuang wanted to say something but hesitated. I understand. The responsibility will also be greater if I add more departments, but I'm already prepared. Shi Yu had a serious expression. It couldn't be helped. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. In order to expand, scale, and standardize this project, he had to guide these mechanic seniors. Talk in detail, talk in detail. This time, it was epic strengthening. In the fourth bureau, he could choose any of the top-notch mechanical materials in the Mechanical Index and Dong Huang's Mechanical Warehouse. It was just a matter of time for Ling to research himself into a quasi-mythical race. Super Mecha, Starry Sky Battleship, Mechanical Illusion God, he could have them all. Chapter 550, about the top 4 of the sequence who became my bodyguard, 1. Chapter 550, about the top 4 of the sequence who became my bodyguard, 1. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. The mechanical conference would last for several days. But next, both the judges and the audience felt that it was boring. The mechanics all entered Sage mode after the shock. Although there were also inventions comparable to dream training devices later, in the eyes of the audience, they were only SOSO. Mechanical phantom beasts were forever gods. At this moment, the 9 major universities and many research teams weren't thinking about how to apply for more funds with their inventions. Instead, they were thinking about how to get intimate with Shi Yu and sit on the mechanical phantom beast, the ride that led to the future Golden Road. If they caught this wind, even pigs could take off, let alone the elites that they were. They had to catch up. For example, Star Capital University gave a plan that made the Gem Cat clone cry. Star Capital University wanted to cooperate with Ancient Capital University. They would let their pets train normally during the day and let their pets train in their dreams at night. When their pets died and their corpses were preserved, they could still revive them to continue training, fighting, and working countless years later. This was simply a perfect cooperation. The world would become better and better. Of course, Shi Yu naturally ignored such an inhumane method. Right now, he only wanted to receive the 4th Bureau's resources in peace. He had already learned the benefits of the 4th Bureau from Legend Xiao Shuang. First was the Mechanical Index. This was definitely there. Just like how the Archaeological Index was filled with archaeological knowledge and the Feeding Index was filled with feeding knowledge, the Mechanical Index was naturally filled with mechanical knowledge. For Ling, this was the most important thing to make it stronger, not inferior to the legendary resources of the mechanic class. After all, knowledge was a resource in the mechanic class. Apart from that, it was the right to apply to activate forbidden weapons after becoming a member of the 4th Bureau. Just like how Jiao Xian could take a small forbidden weapon to destroy the Ice Dragon Snow Mountain, if Shi Yu had reasonable needs, he could also apply for the right to use the forbidden weapon. Naturally, it was definitely only an ordinary or even a small forbidden weapon, and it needed to pass the joint vote of multiple departments. Moreover, the members of the 4th Bureau were qualified to come into contact with some control mechanical materials in Dong Huang. Moreover, they had a certain amount of funds every year and could directly exchange mechanical materials. After hearing this, Shi Yu was overjoyed. Everything was better. Because of the mechanical phantom beast, in the 3rd, 4th, and 11th Bureau, many big shots gathered and discussed this project. After all, mechanical phantom beasts were not a matter of the Mechanical Bureau. The Archaeological Bureau and the Feeding Bureau were not inferior to the Mechanical Bureau in terms of curiosity about ancient overlords. In a conference room in Star Capital, Principal Feng, Grandma Li, President Yi of the 3rd Bureau, Dr. Mai of the 4th Bureau, Legend Xiao Shuang, and the others gathered. The mechanical phantom beast system indeed requires cooperation. The 3 parties had already reached a consensus. Bureau 11 had the most ancient fossils, so it definitely couldn't be lacking. Secondly, the cultivation difficulty of the soul heart fruit was very high. If there was no ginseng baby, it could only rely on the joint efforts of the legendary feeders in the 3rd Bureau to form a stable cultivation channel. In the end, it was the combination of the smart chip and the soul heart fruit, the modification of the mechanical phantom beast. These were the core skills of the mechanical phantom beast. This needed the fourth bureau. Therefore, Shiyu had already decided to share the various technologies of the mechanical phantom beast system with Bureau 3, 4, and 11, which was equivalent to handing it to Dong Huang. In the conference room, the big shots of the three bureaus looked at the plan concluded by Ling in their hands with serious gazes. Then, Legend Xiao Shuang revealed a puzzled expression and looked at Shiyu.
Why aren't you in these cooperation plans?
Ah. Shiyu was stunned. The other big shots also looked at Shiyu.
Yes, why?
But this was very simple.
Shiyu didn't want to do it anymore.
Cough. The president of the Feeding Association and a member of the Fourth Bureau, President Yi Hui, had a strange expression. He kept feeling that this scene was a little familiar. It seemed that after someone developed the green cocoon system, he immediately threw it to Doctors Wei, Legend Hua, and him.
Again?
Because I'm already at a technical bottleneck and can't overcome it in the short term. And I still have to prepare for the world competition. I'm helpless, Shiyu said with a shrug. What a reasonable reason to slack off. World tournament. Everyone was silent as they looked at Shiyu speechlessly. What world tournament? Although it was already very impressive for Shiyu to reach sequence 5th in such a short period of time, the lowest threshold for survival in the world tournament had to be at least legendary. There were still 8 months. Shiyu, who had just broken through, couldn't catch up no matter how anxious he was. Moreover, legends were only the lowest threshold of the world tournament. Countless legends and overlords went to compete for the title of World Legend and the blessings of the World Tree. Therefore, it was basically difficult to win the championship without a titled legend's battle power. Be it Lin Feng Legend back then or the Divine Wind Beast Tamer 20 years ago, when they won the championship, their battle power was close to the titled level. They could temporarily match totems. This was how they won the championship. Shiyu was really too far behind that standard. Moreover, the difficulty of this year's world competition was even higher because of the participation of the totem country. It would be fine if Shiyu didn't have so many halos on him. He could just go and treat it as training and gambling his fate. Even if he couldn't win the championship, there might be other benefits. However, with the pile of achievements on Shiyu, there was no need for him to take the risk in the world tournament. Chapter 551, about the top 4 of the sequence becoming my bodyguard, 2. Chapter 551, about the top 4 of the sequence becoming my bodyguard, 2. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. With Dong Huang's resources, it wasn't impossible to pile Shiyu up to the titled level, and let Shiyu break through the restrictions of the telepathy talent Beast Tamer to have the battle power of a titled level. It wasn't impossible for him to become the first legendary Beast Tamer with the strength of a titled level. In my opinion, let's not go. Although there are many mythical ruins over there, it's not like our Dong Huang doesn't have mythical ruins, Principal Feng said. He had changed his mind again, mainly because he was excited by Shiyu at the mechanical conference. Why didn't he study such an impressive system like the mechanical beast instead of going to the world tournament? It's different. Inatella Island has only opened once in so many years. Who knows when the next time will be? Shiyu said. Besides, I still have a reason why I must go. Apart from courting death in the ruins, what other reason can you have? Principal Feng said. I do have a reason. Didn't Senior Lu want to go too? If I go too, I can at least protect Senior Lu and take care of each other, Shiyu said seriously. This sentence directly made Principal Feng open his mouth wide. He didn't know how to refute. Bastard, using Lu Qingyi as a shield? The big shots of the other bureaus were also slightly stunned before looking at Principal Feng. Of course, Shiyu's words were half true and half false. In fact, he had been studying the skill index these few days. He had been studying that locked, technique fusion ability. In Shiyu's opinion, this ability might be the most critical function to reach the mythical domain. Shiyu tried many methods to unlock this ability. After a while, although he didn't succeed, what made Shiyu very silent was that he received the feedback of the index. Just like how he instantly knew the usage of the index when he first awakened it, he suddenly knew how to unlock this ability. Technique Fusion, locked. Introduction. It can fuse two or more skills that have reached perfect proficiency into new skills. The higher the skill proficiency, the higher the compatibility between the skills, and the higher the success rate of fusion. The success rate of fusion will also depend on the physique of the beast tamer and the will of the pet. Unlock condition. Obtain the blessing of the planet's will. It wasn't waiting for him to have reached the legendary level, nor was his physical fitness insufficient. Instead, like the general teaching methods of those skills, it needed the power of the outside world. Shiyu was extremely silent. What else could he do? Let him go. Just as everyone was expressing their views on Shiyu wanting to go to the World Tournament, a young man's voice suddenly came from outside the room. Everyone was stunned and subconsciously looked over. They saw a pair of slender hands push open the door. The first thing they saw was a woman in ancient clothes. Her skin was fairer than snow, and her eyes were like a pool of clear water. When she pushed open the door and looked forward, she had an elegant aura, making people feel inferior and not dare to profane her. However, her cold, arrogant, and agile appearance was quite enchanting, making people unable to not dream about her. Shiyu looked at the woman in white ancient clothes, with a sword at her waist, and was very surprised. He felt that the other party's appearance was only below the dragon god. It was enough to compete with Senior Lu in her elven form. Who was this person? Legend of the Divine Bell, and President Lin? Many big shots present exclaimed and stood up. Behind the woman was a handsome young man in his 20s in luxurious clothes. However, the aura between his eyebrows was filled with vicissitudes, not like a person of this age. Upon hearing Principal Foam and the other's surprise address, Shiyu immediately realized and immediately stood up. Sequence 2, the descendant of the mechanical legend, the legendary beast tamer, Divine Bell. The other was Lin Feng, a descendant of legend Lin Feng who had succeeded the position of president of the Dong Huang Association after the legend of the Divine Source abdicated. Although he looked young, he was already more than 100 years old. He was the person with the most prominent status in Dong Huang apart from the mechanical legend. He could command the many totems left behind by Lin Feng, as well as the overlord and totems that had received Lin Feng's guidance. When he saw two figures related to the legendary beast tamer, Shiyu was instantly stunned. Why was the other party here? But soon, he understood. It must have been him. "You Shiyu, right?" President Lin looked at Shiyu. "I am, President Lin." Shiyu looked at this young man with a calm expression. President Lin Xiao smiled faintly and said, "Thank you for your contribution to Dong Huang. You just said that you wanted to participate in the World Tournament, right?" The legendary beast tamer, Shenling, sized up Shiyu with her beautiful eyes. She had naturally heard of Shiyu. She only felt that Shiyu was a very strange person. He had an ordinary background, but he quickly rose up. To have such achievements, even if it was a listening to historical talent, it was a little ridiculous. Of course, Shiyu also felt that the Divine Bell legend in front of him was very strange. She was clearly a descendant of the founder of the Dong Huang mechanic class, the Divine Source legend, but she was dressed in ancient clothes and even wore an ancient sword. It was fine if she didn't inherit the family assets, but why was she becoming more and more backward? Yes. Shiyu nodded. President Lin, you just said to let Shiyu go? Principal Foam blinked. You know that this guy contracted the Blue Sea Sprite reincarnation, contracted the heroic spirit of General Mu Huiyin, contracted a bunch of overlord species pets, and even developed many shocking results such as the green silkworm cocoon and mechanical phantom beasts. Why were they letting him go out instead of watching over him? Yes. President Lin nodded and looked out the window. The awakening of the World Tree is not as simple as it looks. My ancestor once talked to the World Tree and was one of the few people who knew some secrets. Chapter 552, about the top 4 of the sequence becoming my bodyguard, 3. Chapter 552, about the top 4 of the sequence becoming my bodyguard, 3. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. According to my ancestor, every time it awakens, it means that we have accelerated the recovery of the myths, that we are closer to a mythical era. They are all signs of disaster. As for the mythical ruins on Inatella Island, they are clues that pass through history and are also hidden divine pathways. He looked at Shiyu and said, although you've only awakened your talent for a short period of time, to be able to obtain the recognition of the Blue Sea Sprite and the recognition of the Dragon God, you're already one of the best talents in Bureau 11. You can go to Inatella this time. The blessings of the World Tree are unimportant, but if you can obtain some clues through those mythical ruins, it might be helpful for Dong Huang to welcome the next disaster and era. Originally, I had expectations for Lu Qingyi in Bureau 11. The importance I placed on her is even higher than Yixing, Divine Bell, and the others. This is because as an archaeologist with the talent to listen, it's easier for her to explore those mythical ruins. But from the looks of it, you're a better candidate than her. From the various signs, the awakening of the World Tree this time should be the greatest change in the beast-taming era, President Lin said. A change that hasn't happened in hundreds of millions of years. Principal Folk's face fell. However, at the same time, he was shocked. The awakening of the World Tree was also related to the approach of the mythical era? President Lin Xiao was the descendant of Lin Feng legend. His words naturally had credibility. Because Lin Feng was one of the few humans who had received the blessings of the World Tree. The awakening of the World Tree Euro is related to the revival of the mythical era? Shiyu was stunned. He also suddenly recalled the Dragon God's words. The World Tree was the embodiment of the planet's will. The real blue planet's will had already fallen asleep with the end of the mythical era. The frequent awakening of the embodiment of the planet's will represented something. It seemed to be possible. At this moment, when they heard President Lin's words, the others also revealed shocked expressions. That should be the case. Moreover, no one can determine if the revival of the myths is a good thing or a bad thing. For example, my ancestor once had a pessimistic attitude, as if he understood something, President Lin Xiao said calmly. If the mythical revival was a disaster, then the Blue Sea Sprite, mechanical phantom beasts, national beast tamers, and stable evolution channels of overlord races would be nothing. Gods and mortals would be completely different domains. In the face of such a changing world, information, and all clues related to myths were the foundation. If you don't want to go there, naturally no one will force you to go. But since you want to go to Inatella Island to explore the mythical ruins, Dong Huang will definitely give you some help, Lin Xiao said. At that time, Yixing, Divine Bell, and the other contestants who have already become legendary beast tamers, Dong Huang, will protect you in the competition. You and Lu Qingyi will be the leaders. You don't have to forcefully try and get the blessings of the World Tree, but it's best to investigate as many clues about the mythical ruins as possible. Beside President Lin Xiao, the expression of the legendary beast tamer, Shunling, changed. She looked at Shiyu. What, he wanted her to be Shiyu's nanny? Principal Foam and the others were also very shocked and stunned. Holy shit! Let the top 4 legends of the sequence be Shiyu's bodyguards to explore the mythical ruins? This. Shiyu was also shocked by President Lin's words. How could this be? When everyone else was competing for the sequence ranking, he directly became the target that all the top sequence contestants needed to protect in the world competition. However, President Lin's expectations for himself seemed to only be to find some clues about the mythical era in the world tournament through his listening talent to better welcome the changes in the future. As for Shiyu himself, he was relatively silent. Although he also wanted to explore the mythical ruins, he couldn't leave the skill fusion function unlocked, right? If possible, he wanted all of them. I understand. Shiyu nodded. Yes. President Lin also nodded and said, Principal Foam previously wanted to apply for the legendary resources in the top 5 of the sequence for you, right? The association will directly approve this. Although the chances of using the growth of pets to break through to the legendary level are not high, you don't have to worry about wasting them. Those legendary resources, just use them. It can more or less increase your strength. With your foundation and these legendary resources, you won't be much weaker than those overlord races in the World Tournament. Just be careful. Your safety can still be guaranteed. Apart from that, the association will also give you an additional 5 billion as resources. You should try your best to increase your strength. He looked at President Yi and Dr. Mai and said, at the same time, you can also use the fossils from the mythical era in the resource bank to study the mechanical phantom beast project. Just as Shi Yu said, this is indeed a way to explore myths. Yes. President Yi, Dr. Mai, and the others nodded. After President Lin finished speaking, even the divine bell beside him was envious. However, she also knew that Shi Yu deserved it. All right, that's enough, President Lin said. In the past few months, he had come into contact with many titled legends from other countries, some totem clans, and even some totem allies. This year's World Tournament was not a small matter. It might be a sign of the revival of the myths. If not for that, he would not be willing to send out a genius like Shi Yu. Chapter 553, about the top 4 of the sequence becoming my bodyguard, 4. Chapter 553, about the top 4 of the sequence becoming my bodyguard, 4. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. In this world competition, the strategic significance of Lu Qingyi and Shi Yu in Bureau 11 might be greater than the other 4 legends. Wait, President Lin, there's one more thing, Shi Yu suddenly said. Is there anything else? President Lin asked. Shi Yu said, I know the location of a ruin that might have mythical resources and many legendary resources. It might be the resource mystic realm of the Phoenix race that has already been eliminated. However, I don't know if there's any conspiracy behind this ruin, like what I know. Therefore, I want the Dong Huang Association to cooperate with me and complete the exploration before the World Tournament. This way, I can also strengthen Dong Huang's national strength again. Ah, I know about this. You want to go to the 7 islands during this period, right? President Lin said. Shi Yu nodded. Apart from Principal Foam and the others, the big shots of the 3rd and 4th bureaus were still stunned. What? Mythical resources? Multiple legendary resources? 7 islands? Phoenix Race's resource mystic realm? What was going on? The undying Dark Phoenix in the undead battlefield, which was suspected to be Kai Tong and the Empress's biological mother, told Shi Yu about a mythical resource mystic realm. It said that it wanted to use this to nurture Kai Tong's growth and let Shi Yu save it through Kai Tong. This mystic realm was on the 7 islands. Back then, because the undying Dark Phoenix went berserk, Shi Yu had told Principal Foam about this. As for Principal Foam, he had definitely reported it to the higher-ups. Therefore, Shi Yu was not surprised that President Lin knew about this. After all, the position of Division 13 was at the top of Dong Huang. There was only one superior, and that was the president of the Dong Huang Association, Lin Xiao. However, because this mystic realm needed Kai Tong's bloodline to open, Dong Huang had never taken action. At that time, Shi Yu was still too weak and not suitable to explore the Phoenix race's resource mystic realm. After a while, I'll invite the tyrannical sea legend, the guardian goddess Ying, and the other members of Bureau 11 to form an exchange team to the 7 islands. At that time, you can follow the team to the 7 islands to explore. Shi Yu said, then we have to watch the undead battlefield too. If that mystic realm is the key to unsealing the undying Dark Phoenix, it'll be a big problem. President Lin said, you don't have to worry about that. Shi Yu added, there's also the Space Emperor Ruin Space Beast Egg. It also needs to go to different areas to hatch. President Lin was silent. Why was this kid so troublesome? There will also be an exchange team and titled legends and guardians as your bodyguards. However, if you want to go abroad, you need to undergo a certain amount of disguise and change your identity and name. You can't go out to train as Shi Yu. If nothing goes wrong, your name will be on the Totem Clan's must-kill list soon, President Lin said calmly. What, the Totem Clan still don't know my name? Shi Yu was stunned. To think that he was worried previously, but in the end, the other party was so unprofessional. However, one had to disguise themselves when going abroad. This could be used as a reference, but to be honest, Shiyu couldn't trust Buggy's disguise skill. It was better to use the skill index to disguise himself. As long as he added points to look white-haired and had an old and weak aura, who could recognize him? It was natural. Everyone. Since it's all right, little Ling, let's go, President Lin said. All right, Grandpa Lin. The divine bell's voice sounded. President Lin came and left quickly, leaving the big shots of Division 13 looking at each other and falling into deep thought. They also sensed the aura of some big events from these words. After the mechanical conference ended, the impact of the mechanical conference continued to ferment. As too many people were looking for him, Shiyu decided to disappear. Among them, the two mechanical legends of the Seven Islands and Shenfeng wanted to come into contact with Shiyu the most. Shiyu had given them a chance, but they weren't rare. Shiyu asked them if there were any pets that knew superalloy, but they said no. Then he decided to talk when they knew more. After the mechanical conference, Shiyu basically handed over the mechanical phantom beast technology. However, without the help of baby ginseng, Dong Huang would probably have to digest it for a while. Shiyu and the others were the most comfortable with the mechanical phantom beast system. If others used it, they would have to spend more effort. Among them, the revived mechanical phantom beasts on Shiyu's side had also been thrown to the mechanic class of Ancient Capital University to study, leaving only a mechanical tyrant dragon. In other words, the guy they personally created at the start with 11's hardening substance. After all, Ling still had to continue researching the mythical mechanical phantom beast. There had to be one to experiment with as the little white mouse. The mechanical tyrant dragon had already been used, so it would continue to stay in the dragon enclosure in the ruined space. At the moment, Shiyu had already successfully joined the 4th Bureau and obtained the mechanical index. Moreover, he had also obtained 5 billion plus 5 billion in resources. Among them, 5 billion was used by the Dong Huang Association to nurture Shiyu. The other 5 billion was the mechanical materials funds of the Mechanical Bureau. It was specially prepared for Shiyu, the winner of the Mechanical Conference's Gold Award. The day Shiyu obtained it, he spent it all. According to Ling's request, he exchanged for 300 transformation stones, wind, and 2 billion mechanical materials to upgrade Ling. This was what Ling deserved. After all, it had contributed greatly to the research system of the mechanical phantom beast. Apart from that, baby ginseng also contributed greatly. However, its reward was a legendary resource. It was the legendary resource of the sequence ranking that Shiyu had always wanted to apply for in advance. With President Lin's nod, it was successfully applied. Chapter 554, About the Top 4 of the Sequence Becoming My Bodyguard, 5. Chapter 554, About the Top 4 of the Sequence Becoming My Bodyguard, 5. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Although the effect was a little unsatisfactory. However, Shiyu also knew that legendary resources relied purely on luck. There was nothing to choose from. For example, 11's legendary resource. He originally wanted a legendary metal element resource to strengthen life or energy, but in the end, it gave him a metal element and lightning element resource that could strengthen the physique and have a chance of awakening the white lightning. On baby ginseng's side, what Shiyu wanted the most was earth element and light element resources that contained the power of mutation stimulation. Of course, time element resources were definitely better, but it was impossible for there to be. In the end, on the association side, there was only one earth element legendary resource to increase life force for Shiyu to choose from. Name: Divine Earth of Life. Attributes: Earth. Level: Level 9, Legendary Level. Introduction: It's a soil that contains strong life force. Even if an ordinary tree is planted on it, it might bear a fruit of life after a long time. Obviously, what Shiyu obtained was an earth element resource that increased life force. It was definitely useless for baby ginseng's mutation and evolution. Of course, it didn't mean that it was useless for baby ginseng. It was just like 11's situation last time. The association was still very kind. This resource was also very suitable for baby ginseng. After all, supplement races relied on vitality and energy. his ginseng baby had the source of life skill, and the source of life was a physique skill. Its proficiency could be increased by absorbing life resources. With this divine earth of life, it was estimated that without Shiyu adding points, after completely absorbing it, it could directly let the proficiency level of the source of life reach perfect level. Apart from that, its own life attributes would also undergo a qualitative change. Shiyu thought about it and felt that it was not bad. After all, after baby ginseng's vitality increased, it would be easier for him to add points. After contracting an overlord pet, its endurance would also be higher. This legendary resource could be used. As for the evolution resources, he would talk about it in the future. Perhaps when he went to the Phoenix Race's mystic realm on the 7 islands, he could casually find them and pick them up. Apart from that, the association also gave an additional legendary resource. To be precise, it was distributed to the Environmental Protection Department and specially given to Susu. It looked like this world tournament was really unusual. The association directly accelerated the cultivation progress. Name: Cold Sky Drop. Attributes: Water, Ice. Level: Level 9, Legendary Level. Introduction: It can give second attributes to water and ice element pets and strengthen the attributes of water and ice element pets to the limit. It was still a relatively ordinary resource. It was considered a strengthening type resource, but it was better than nothing. In any case, it was just a monarch breaking through to Overlord. It didn't need any good resources. It was already not bad if it was useful. After all, in the entire world, there shouldn't be many beast tamers who would give their pets a legendary resource to lay the foundation for them when they broke through to the Overlord level at the Monarch level. At this point, 11's Aurora Magnetic Gold, Buggy's Green Sky Divine Dragon Bull, Baby Ginseng's Divine Earth of Life, Kai Tong's Bone Sword, and Susu's Cold Sky Droplet were all in place. As for Ling, it had the 4th Bureau Index, the Wind Careen Fossil, 300 Transformation Stones, 2 billion top-notch mechanical materials, and the 4th Bureau Mechanical Materials Warehouse. For mechanics, knowledge was a resource. If Ling could fuse with the Wind Careen Fossil and quickly develop a mythical phantom, this wouldn't be inferior to any legendary resource. In addition, just as Grandma Li had said, there was also a mythical fossil in the Dong Huang Resource Bank, but it was said that its race was unknown. It only had the power of a god. Shiyu didn't want this fossil, but left it for the 3rd, 4th, and 11th Bureau. This was an opportunity for the 3 bureaus to work for him. After all, Ling couldn't study the 2 mythical fossils either. And if they were placed over there, there would be a bunch of legendary mechanics in the 4th Bureau to help study the mythical beast. After the progress was out, they could also share the knowledge with Ling. This way, Shiyu didn't believe that Ling couldn't make huge progress in a short period of time. Now, Shiyu could be said to be rich. He returned to Ancient Capital University and planned to continue his seclusion to increase his points while waiting to go to the 7 islands. However, just as he returned, the Gem Cat came looking for him. Tilda the Gem Cat looked at the rich Shiyu in front of it and drooled. Damn it! How's the matter we talked about last time? How is it? Let's form a company together and earn big money. You're in charge of contributing, I'm in charge of bringing the goods. The company's name will be Shiyi Group. It suits your and 11's names. Shiyu glanced at the Gem Cat in front of him and shook his head. There's no need. I don't lack money for the time being. Let's talk about it after the world competition. The Gem Cat? Why didn't he keep his word? How much can a level 5 or 6 resource be sold for? It's even difficult for 11 and the others to accumulate a legendary resource after tiring themselves out. Why don't we wait until the world competition and they break through to the Overlord level? It'll be easy to earn. Shiyu smiled and said, moreover, Teacher Cat, prepare yourself. We'll go to the Phoenix Race Mystic Realm mentioned by the Undying Dark Phoenix later. It's said that mythical and legendary resources are everywhere. Isn't this faster than selling resources? The Gem Cat was angry. Then, its entire body went limp. Forget it, it made sense. Right, right? Shiyu chuckled. Who knew that he would become rich so quickly after the mechanical conference? If he had the time, he should let his pets train their willpower more. He wondered if he could get the Overlord's will before the world competition. However, he could take the time to create some, but not to sell them. For example, he could get some skill water drops and give them to Senior Lu to increase her strength. It was already very obvious now. The core of this world competition was clearly him and Senior Lu, the two archaeologists. They were 5th and 6th in the sequence. As for the 4 legends in the top 4 of the sequence, they were just bodyguards who explored the mythical ruins. Archaeologists were indeed a good profession. The top 4 of the sequence became his bodyguards. Chapter 555, The 3 Armies under Shi Yu, 1. Chapter 555, The 3 Armies under Shi Yu, 1. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. March 14th. A day after the mechanical conference ended, Shi Yu had already started his leisure life at Ancient Capital University again. It wasn't attending class or anything. It was just adding points and resting. Of course, with the memory water drop, Shi Yu was no longer afraid of the exam. Even Fang Lan could perfectly self-study all the classes in high school plus first year and second year in just 2 months, let alone him. However, if he wanted to learn, what he, Baby Ginseng, and Ling should learn now should also be transcendent biological knowledge and world history from abroad. After all, it wouldn't be long before they had to leave Donghuang and train abroad. Now, Shi Yu had already advanced to his second year. Perhaps Ancient Capital University knew that it was impossible to expect Shi Yu to attend normal classes and graduate, so they directly awarded Shi Yu the title of Doctorate in Archaeology, Feeding, and Mechanical Science. Wasn't that enough? Moreover, who dared to question the value of these titles? The country had already verified it immediately. From now on, Lu Qingyi wasn't the only genius archaeologist under the age of 30 in Ancient Capital University. There was also Dr. Shi Yu, who was proficient in archaeology, feeding, and machinery. Apart from that, there was a larger change that had been decided a long time ago. After the beast-eared girl, White Brook, and the other older students graduated, the battle department of Ancient Capital University was completely out of stock. Apart from Shi Yu, there was actually no master-level student. After school started, Shi Yu was forced to become the president of the battle club and the captain of the school team. Although it was only in name, and Shi Yu had never paid attention to that side, this wasn't for the long term. Shi Yu still hoped that his juniors and seniors could stand up quickly. However, this situation should improve quickly. After all, the education funds of Ancient Capital University this year were really a lot. It should be easy to pile up 1 or 2 more masters. Shi Yu recommended more resources to nurture the dragon tamer Yu Shu, the spirit medium Wang Ling, the GU master Miao Dongdong, the elemental envoy Zhong Qinyi, and the other second-year students who participated in the same vocation assessment as him. There was also the first-year genius new student of Anchang's batch. This way, the older students wouldn't graduate just as they finished nurturing them. Of course, Shi Yu didn't care if the school listened to his suggestion. He just wanted to increase his points quickly. At the same time, Shi Yu also entrusted the gem cat to him to buy various resources, such as high-level water element energy crystals, wood element energy crystals, and life supplements. These were all necessities to increase points. The additional points of a super skill, be it Shi Yu, Baby Ginseng, or Susu, would all fall to the extreme. Although they could slowly recover by relying on natural recovery, this required a lot of time and a suitable environment. The efficiency was completely not faster than directly using resources and supplements. Shi Yu looked at the 5 billion in his pocket and felt that it was useless to leave it there. It was better to use resources to increase efficiency. After all, there were only 8 months left in the world competition. There was no time for them to slowly go to various places with abundant natural energy to spend a lot of time recovering natural energy. After returning to his leisurely life, Shi Yu continued to add points to 11. At the moment, 11 still had 3 skills that weren't expert level: Spacequake, Lightning Rod, and Undying Golden Body. Shi Yu chose to add the Undying Golden Body first. After the Undying Golden Body reached expert level, the changes would be very huge. If it was said that the entry-level Undying Golden Body converted 10% of the damage into vitality, then the expert-level Undying Golden Body converted 25% of the damage into vitality, allowing 11's endurance to become even fiercer. After adding another point to 11 and increasing the Undying Golden Body from Proficient to Proficient +1, Shiyu used all the supplements he could use, the treatment of the Ginseng Baby, and the purification of Susu. The cooldown was finally reduced to 48 hours and no longer changed. These 48 hours were no longer physical factors. There were also side effects of mental, life, and time corrosion. Whether it was 11 or Shiyu, the additional points of super skills had a huge impact on their bodies and minds. If not for Susu, they would probably really be reduced to slaves of power like the warning in the index. Woo, after adding points, 11 lay on the ground tiredly. Hu, Shiyu, Baby Ginseng, Susu, and the others also lay down tiredly. After adding points, the entire team rose to the sky. Judging from the current increase in points, if he continued to increase points in the World Tournament now, he should be able to catch up. At that time, he still had the ability to fight those overlords. As for how far it could reach, it still depended on the experience after obtaining the first Overlord level pet. Although Shiyu judged that with his level 6 base and current physique, it shouldn't be a problem to contract an Overlord level pet above his level. If it was 2 or 3, it would probably be a big problem. Therefore, he wanted to see how many Overlords his physique could withstand. If he could become an Overlord, why would he be afraid of the world competition? Of course, this situation was probably very difficult to achieve. However, even if there were only 1 or 2, Shiyu believed that no matter which one it was, as long as 11 and the others stepped into the Overlord level, they would be outstanding among ordinary Overlords. Their battle power would even be comparable to top-notch Overlords. It was not a problem for them to fight alone. After a short rest for the entire team, Shiyu left the ruin space. He had to combine adding points and relaxing so that he could be in a better state to add points in the next round. Chapter 556, The Three Armies Under Shiyu, 2. Chapter 556, The Three Armies Under Shiyu, 2. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. During the break, Shiyu chose to head to the ancient capital's undead battlefield and bring Kai Tong and Susu to kill the undead and cleanse them to relieve the pressure. If he wanted to reduce the cooldown now, he didn't rely on supplements or purification. Instead, he had to make his heart happy in order to effectively sublimate his state. What could make him happy? Shiyu thought for a long time. Apart from eating and drinking, probably only resources, cracking history, and showing off himself could do the trick. Therefore, Shiyu chose to come to the undead battlefield and transform into Sword God Shiyu. He wanted to experience the thrill of punishing demons and killing ghosts to relieve his boredom. Ancient Capital, Undead Battlefield, Stationed Army. Commander Shu, Master Shu Kai, guarded here day after day, working diligently every day. It couldn't be helped. A few months ago, the top-notch totem here, the Undying Dark Phoenix, had just gone berserk once. The entire ancient capital was under a lot of pressure. The undead riot was a small matter. If the Undying Dark Phoenix came out, it would be over. And all of this started from a student. Dark Shiyu, why are you here again? Don't tell me you want to enter the undead battlefield. This isn't fun. Today, Commander Shu received a kid who often gave him nightmares. When he saw Shiyu visit, his face immediately turned bitter and his mood was unstable. Ahaha, Instructor Shu, long time no see. Shiyu looked at Commander Shu, who was in charge of their Heroic Spirit Ruins training, in embarrassment. You're right. I'm just going in to take a look. It'll be fine. Now, the entire undead battlefield has been locked onto. Not only was it locked onto by the Gem Cat, but it was also locked onto by the mechanical intelligence of the reincarnation of the Divine Source legend. What? If Shiyu wanted to enter, Shu Kai naturally couldn't stop him. However, what did Shiyu mean? In a while, Dong Huang will have a higher level defense force coming here. You should be able to receive the news soon. I'm just revealing it to you in advance, Shi Yu said. He wanted to explore the Phoenix Mystic Realm on the Seven Islands. In order to prevent any connection between the two, he definitely had to strictly control the undead battlefield.
What happened?
Master Shukai's expression turned cold. It's not a big deal, Shi Yu said. By the way, when I just came over, I realized that the new students of Ancient Capital University are training in the Heroic Spirit ruins over there again, right? Initially, he wanted to go in directly, but because of an unexpected discovery, he came to see Master Shu. Yeah, there are many good seedlings in Ancient Capital University this year. If we don't count you, the quality is even higher than the newbies last year, Master Shukai said as he looked at the monster, Shi Yu. There's a student called An Chang, right? Has he obtained the recognition of the heroic spirit? Shi Yu asked. Yes, this year's top scholar of the ancient capital. However, he hasn't ascended the altar yet, but it shouldn't be difficult for him to obtain the recognition of the heroic spirit later on, Master Shu said. This kid's performance in the vocation assessment this year is even more exaggerated than yours. The opponent in second place was directly insta-killed by An Chang in the fusion state of the Flood Dragon. It was too exaggerated. Another super genius. I see. Then train him hard during the military training. Don't hold back. Ah. Master Shukai looked at Shi Yu. They had a grudge? I nurtured him. I've invested a lot of resources in him, so it's always good to experience some training. Shi Yu chuckled. It was normal to be strong. Hundreds of millions of investment funds, a pile of level 7 resources. At the start, even he himself only had 10 million. If An Chang couldn't become a legend, Shi Yu would feel that he had suffered a huge loss. Although he had also obtained 2 family heirlooms from him, he definitely hoped that An Chang could successfully grow up. What, you nurtured him? What do you mean? Master Shukai was shocked. What was going on? You're only a F*King second-year student. Don't tell me you took in a first-year disciple. Although, Shi Yu can't be treated as a normal student. The number 1 person below the legendary level. This title made Master Shu understand that Shi Yu's current battle power could easily kill him. It's good that you know. Just help train on the highest scale. Shi Yu scratched his cheek. If An Chang grew up quickly, he could get rid of his lousy position of president of the battle club that he couldn't get any benefits from. Set more tests for him. After it's over, help me give this to him. Shi Yu took out a drop of buggy silk memory crystal in a water bottle. It was An Chang's second pet. He had contracted the green silkworm given by Ancient Capital University that had mastered the transcendent worm silk. According to Shi Yu's understanding, the worm had yet to evolve, so this thing seemed to be useful. All right, Master Shukai was stunned before nodding. Thank you, Shi Yu said with a smile. It was pretty good to have a top-notch master like Shukai helping with the military training for a while. By the way, I also brought you tea. Shi Yu took out a bottle of special fruit tea brewed by Baby Ginseng and drank it happily with Commander Shu as a reward. This thing was very nourishing to middle-aged men. After chatting with Commander Shu, Shi Yu stood on the ancient capital city wall and prepared to enter the undead battlefield to kill monsters to relieve the pressure. But at this moment, his cell phone suddenly rang. It was Lin Xiaozhu. Shi Yu was stunned. The call went through. Lin Xiaozhu saw that Shi Yu had picked up the call and said in surprise, "Are you busy?" "I'm already done." "That's good." Lin Xiaozhu heaved a sigh of relief. 2 days ago, she naturally paid attention to the mechanical conference, but she was worried that Shi Yu would be very busy at this time, so she didn't disturb him. Chapter 557, The 3 Armies Under Shi Yu, 3. Chapter 557, The 3 Armies Under Shi Yu, 3. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. She only called after the mechanical conference ended. Senior Lin, what's wrong? Shi Yu smiled. He was just about to look for Senior Lin after killing the monsters when the other party called first. I've seen the mechanical conference. How did you develop a mechanical phantom beast? It's too powerful. Lin Xiaoju was very excited. I was lucky, Shi Yu said. Well, I want to ask if it can revive the fossil of the iron-eating beast ancestor. Lin Xiaoju said excitedly. I remember that the iron-eating beast ancestor appeared 10 million years ago in the totem era, right? Shi Yu was stunned. As expected, Senior Panda was still thinking about pandas. Shi Yu said helplessly, we indeed have the fossil of the iron-eating beast ancestor here, but the iron-eating beast ancestor is just a very ordinary bear-type carnivorous transcendent creature. It's not even metal element. It only evolved into metal element later. There's no research value. The true stage of the iron-eating beast race's development was when a certain faction developed an evolution form through Yunnan and various special metals thousands of years ago. Even Emperor Wu only inherited the evolution system of the mysterious faction in that totem era. Unfortunately, at this time, no iron-eating beast fossils were born. Moreover, after Emperor Wu dynasty, the iron-eating beasts seem to have been wiped out, producing history and inheritance gaps, and their numbers decreased greatly. Wow! When the Panda Senior heard this news, she was immediately worried. No. She had waited for nothing. All right. By the way, I broke through to the master level. After complaining, Lin Xiaoju immediately reported the good news to Shi Yu. In the beginning, Lin Xiaoju was only a high-level beast tamer. Because she was in the feeding specialization, she didn't care much about cultivation. Her chances of breaking through to the master level weren't high in the short term. However, as the iron-eating beast status rose, the Lin family rose from the richest family in Pingcheng to the richest family in Icefield City. The Lin family had more resources to nurture heirs. Senior Lin directly used a pile of cultivation resources to reach the master level. Really? Shi Yu was stunned and immediately congratulated her. Then, he asked, Senior, where are you now? I have a gift for you. Gift? What is it? Lin Xiaoju was curious. The level of hardening that can allow your iron-eating beast to have a huge increase in resources again. After using this, you should be able to let it complete its evolution. At that time, your metal element strengthening talent and nurturing method, together with the 9-Li battle beast of a high-level monarch race, will make you even more powerful. Shi Yu smiled. Hardening memory water. Although when they were together, 11 would help Senior Lin's iron-eating beast increase its hardening level whenever it was free, it was still too slow. However, now that he had the memory water drop, the speed could increase greatly. On the other side, Lin Xiaoju was stunned before being pleasantly surprised. The reason why she was already at the master level and wasn't in a hurry to let the iron-eating beast evolve was firstly because she wanted to save more money to buy evolution materials. Secondly, because the skill level of her iron-eating beast had yet to reach the limit Shi Yu mentioned. I'm not in Pingcheng now. I'm in Wuling City, not very far from the ancient capital. Why don't I go find you? Lin Xiaoju said. Eh? What are you doing in Wuling City? Lin Xiaoju said, Iron-eating beast core. The iron-eating beast core has already started to form. It has officially become one of the 7 new pet armies supported by Dong Huang this year. My father is commander, and Junior Whitebrook is deputy commander. Oh right, she has also contracted an iron-eating beast. It's also a royal. After fusing, it's very cute. And I'm the chief feeder of the iron-eating beast core. By the way, one of the 7 new pet armies Dong Huang is supporting this year is related to you. It's the Green Silkworm Army. Well, to be precise, it's the Green Silkworm Cocoon Army. Legend Hua Xiajin is the commander, and Dr. Sui Jiangyun is the chief feeder. These 2 armies are both under your command, although I don't know how the Beast Tamer troops arranged it. This, Shi Yu held the phone with a surprised expression. Belong to me? Why didn't I know? Forget it, I'll ask later. Was someone deliberately letting him enter the military? It seemed normal. He still had a general position in Dragon Palace City. However, compared to the person in charge of the Green Silkworm Cocoon Army, the person in charge of the Iron-eating Beast Corps was a little low. Well, that made sense. This was still normal. After all, the green silkworm cocoon system had been perfected, and it could definitely form battle power. As for the iron-eating beast core, it was at most an investment at the current stage. After all, the evolution materials were too expensive, and Yunnan had yet to be caught. It was better to use the green silkworm cocoon army. But I feel, from the current situation, Senior Lin said, why do I feel that the country will add another mechanical phantom beast army to the pet army that is heavily supported this year? She had a strange expression. At that time, Shi Yu would be the commander-in-chief of the three armies. Ha ha, if that's the case, that's interesting, Shi Yu said. In Donghuang, the overall weight of the beast tamer troops was even higher than Division 13. They were the core power to protect Donghuang. If a war happened, they would definitely be at the front line. Back then, if it weren't for the orphan benefits and the successful loan to buy the iron-eating beast, Shi Yu might have joined the army and waited to be assigned pets. However, although he didn't successfully join the army, Shi Yu was also very emotional because he had given birth to 3 special soldiers. The iron-eating beast army, the green silkworm cocoon army, and the mechanical phantom beast army. I'll look for you later. I want to see what this iron-eating beast army looks like, Shi Yu said. All right, Tilda, then you have to come and let 11 teach them a lesson. Let them know how to work hard like the 3 little iron-eating beasts of ancient capital university. Lin Xiaozhu had a headache. Soon, there's still the new recruit tournament. In their state, I feel that they will definitely be last. All right. Shi Yu smiled. Wasn't it just a mental seal? Let 11 use max-level deterrence to wash their minds and immediately become a hard-working panda. As the future National Treasure Army, its thinking couldn't fall. Moreover, this army was still under his name, so they couldn't drag him down. Chapter 558, Changing Fate, 1. Chapter 558, Changing Fate, 1. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Ancient capital, undead battlefield. A young man holding a longsword cut the undead one by one. After cutting fodder for a while, Shi Yu heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that the pressure had been lifted, but not completely. He held the spatial sword that combined hardening and space vibration and felt that being strong was lonely. In the end, the opponent was still too lousy. At this moment, Shi Yu's weapon was updated again. Because the ice dragon blade was swallowed by Susu, it was useless and thrown away. As the lightning was not easy to control, Shi Yu often electrocuted himself. He was not used to it and threw it away. This longsword was actually not very useful. It was mainly because the rebound of space was not small. Every time he slashed, Shi Yu would feel dizzy. If it was used too many times, it would be like motion sickness. Shi Yu directly stabbed it into the ground and buried it deeply. He didn't want it anymore. He would give it to a fated person. In any case, the shelf life wasn't long. Tilda. Beside him, a dark blue little sparrow with flaming tail feathers was also chattering unhappily. Too weak, too weak. Not only did Shi Yu not slash them to his heart's content, but it also did not burn them to its heart's content. There was no increase in proficiency at all. At the moment, Kai Tong should be the pet with the highest proficiency in super skills in the team. Its interlocking sword and spirit release skills were about the same, expert +5. It was normal that they couldn't increase. The former was due to the fact it had digested the Gemini silver armor, and the latter was because it had swallowed the soul pearl of the overlord of the undying race. It can't be helped. The powerful undead were either killed by the undying Dark Phoenix last time or hid and didn't dare to come out. Shi Yu shrugged and looked at little Kai Tong. Kai Tong, QAQ. Nink. Shi Yu and Kai Tong were not very happy, but Susu, who was beside them, was very happy. The undead battlefield was a place filled with curses and plagues. It was very relaxing to cleanse it. He just hated that he was too weak and couldn't cleanse it perfectly. Although it had purified a large area of flawless land along the way, it would probably be corroded by plague and curses soon after leaving. purification was not easy. Susu sighed. It shook its ice-blue body with the frost crown. After its excitement was endless loneliness. Now, Kai Tong and Susu looked a little strange. For example, Kai Tong had changed from the bird spirit form of the orange-red sun to the bird spirit form of the blue ghost fire. Susu, on the other hand, changed from its jelly-like water slime form to the form of the ice slime king with a frost crown. This was a new form that Shiyu had recently developed for them. The principle was also very simple. Kai Tong's bird spirit form was originally mainly to release the power of the sun. Then, as long as it restrained and suppressed the power of the sun and used the nether cold fire as the power displayed, its appearance would naturally change. Be it undead or elemental life forms, it was quite easy to change their appearance. As for Susu, it was because it had stored the cold sky water in its body. Although it had yet to devour it, this legendary resource had also given it a second attribute, ice. In addition, it had mastered the Dao Proficiency Blizzard, the expert-level water element control, and ice water. It was very simple to change its elemental form into an ice slime. Even the index could be deceived. In fact, it wasn't a lie. Susu, who was now a middle-level overlord race, was no longer a water slime. It was just that it had been maintaining its water slime form previously. In fact, it wasn't a lie. Susu, who was now a middle-level overlord race, was no longer a water slime. It was just that it had been maintaining its water slime form previously. Soon, he would be going abroad. Shiyu naturally chose to listen to President Lin's suggestion and decided to change their image. As for himself, he just had to change his clothes a little with white hair. Apart from him, the pets also had to change appearance and appear in a new manner. This way, not many people could recognize him. Kai Tong often appeared in the form of a sword spirit. Very few people had seen it in the form of a bird spirit. Moreover, its strength system had changed from the sun flame that countered undead to a pure ghost fire. Its image and aura had changed drastically, and it was impossible for anyone to recognize it. As for Susu, it went from an ordinary water slime to the ice slime king. It also looked brand new. Apart from that, Ling knew the 100 transformation skill. After completing its evolution, it would also look new. On this trip abroad, Shiyu planned to use the three of them as the main force so as to train these three. As for 11, Buggy, and Baby Ginseng, he would seal them first. Compared to Kai Tong, Susu, and Ling, 11, Buggy, and Baby Ginseng were more representative. Moreover, according to the order of adding points, the three of them were also the first to add points. They just had to wait for the automatic upgrade in the ruins, but there was no need for training. Roar! I am the overlord of the earth. Of course, apart from the few of them, Shiyu also had a burden. It was a tyrant dragon cub nearly 2 meters tall. Name a mechanical tyrant dragon. Attributes, machinery, earth. Race level, low-level overlord. Level of growth, transcendent. Race skill, basic intelligence, intermediate mechanic skill, entry, space-splitting sword, high-level earth skill, entry, earth domain, earth super skill, entry, earthquake, earth super skill, entry. Energy points, 7116. It held a long rock sword in each of its short hands, playing the dual blade style. This was the tyrant dragon that Shiyu, Ling, and the others had been experimenting with. At this moment, its form was no different from that of a normal tyrant dragon cub. The excess mechanical modifications were all taken down by Ling, and the skills such as lightning and storage lightning were naturally forgotten. Chapter 559, Changing Fate, 2. Chapter 559, Changing Fate, 2. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. The reason why they did this was because Ling and the others realized that it was not easy for the modified body to recall its previous skills. However, even if it abandoned the equipment other than the smart chip, the mechanical tyrant dragon only awakened the space-splitting sword, an earth element skill that increased the damage to flying pets. Tyrant dragons like the Overlord Aura, Brute Force, and Desolate Body. Because its body was essentially an illusion and not a physical body, it couldn't successfully recall it at the moment. The data collection is complete, the white-haired lowly on the green Rubik's Cube screen said crisply beside the mechanical tyrant dragon. Named Ling. Attributes: machinery, wind. Race level: high-level monarch, quasi-overlord. Level of growth: monarch level. Race skill: advanced, 100 transformations, Dao proficiency, advanced intelligence, Dao proficiency. Super level, wind element control, expert. Teaching skill: intermediate, super sight, transcendent. Advanced, clone, transcendent, multiplication, transcendent, absolute sleep, transcendent, deterrence, transcendent, loading, transcendent, mechanical space, transcendent. Energy points, 3,610,000. After using the 3 new Wind Element 100 transformation stones to upgrade himself, Ling successfully broke through to the monarch level and improved her all-round qualities. The greatest change was the Wind Element control skill. Because of the lead of the Wind Element 100 transformation stone, it had reached expert level. At this moment, there was actually a large amount of mechanical materials left in the ruined space. Ling planned to use them to modify the loading and mechanical space into racial skills. Apart from that, he also had to use those mechanical materials to study the Wind Kareen fossil and the mecha form. These were not things that could be completed in a short period of time. Then let's stop here. We'll go to Wu Ling City. Shi Yu stretched. Don't let Senior Panda wait too long. Also, when are you going to upgrade its intelligence? Its basic intelligence doesn't look very smart, Shi Yu said. The mechanical tyrant dragon widened its eyes. Ling shook his head crazily and said, if it's too smart, it won't cooperate with my research. Next, I plan to evolve it into an earth element dragon. This is a very important experimental process before fusing with the Wind Kareen fossil. The mechanical tyrant dragon still widened its eyes. Roar! Is that still the overlord of the earth? Ling comforted it and said, don't worry, I won't give you wings. The mechanical tyrant dragon roared happily. Change! Change! When it became stronger and stronger, it would take back all the pressure it had suffered these days. Let Shi Yu and the others understand who the real king was. The mechanical tyrant dragon immediately imagined the scene of it ascending to the throne and commanding the iron-eating beast army to dominate the ground under the respectful expressions of Buggy, Baby Ginseng, and Shi Yu. Roar! The tyrant dragon continued to roar. Shi Yu, Kai Tong, Susu, and Ling frowned. Compared to high-level intelligence, basic intelligence was indeed inferior. This was all Shi Yu's fault. In the beginning, he didn't have the money to get high-level intelligence and only gave it basic intelligence. As Shi Yu headed to Wu Ling City, he called Principal Feng. In ancient capital university, the busy Principal Feng was stunned. In fact, he was a little afraid of Shi Yu's call, afraid that he would accidentally cause trouble again. Fortunately, it was just a question this time. Principal Feng, what's going on with the iron-eating beast army and the green silkworm cocoon army?
I heard they're under my name.
Shi Yu's curious voice came from the other side. Yes, it was appointed by you when you were cultivating in the Space Emperor ruins. Be it the iron-eating beast army or the green silkworm cocoon army, they're all related to you. In the end, they will all belong to the Donghuang Environmental Protection Department. They're in charge of the ecological protection of the Donghuang Sea, the continent, and the space regions. I see. In other words, Legend Hua, a legendary beast tamer, is also my subordinate. Shi Yu was slightly shocked, but he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Sort of. Legend Hua is very interested in the green silkworm cocoon system. Apart from these 2 legions, it said that under Dr. Mai's suggestion, the mechanical beast army is also about to be established. General Xiao Qin is the commander and chief mechanic, who is also under your environmental protection department. I heard from Dr. Mai that your environmental protection department is idle. General Xiao Qin and the other 2 members have nothing to do all day. Why don't you train your soldiers and strengthen the foundation of the Environmental Protection Department? If you're free, you can take the time to give guidance. After all, if this kind of heavily supported new recruits want to fight for more military funds, it still depends on actual results and battle power. You should be very good at guiding iron-eating beasts, green cocoons, and mechanical phantom beasts. After all, you were the one who created them. For example, the current first-rank Yixing's Star Army has won the honor of being the #1 unit in the army for 3 consecutive years. It's also because he's #1 in the army's martial arts competition, and the army he brought is the #1 in the army that is so strong. They're all invisible resources. Cough, cough, cough. Of course, I also know that you're not free. I was just saying. Principal Feng laughed. At the moment, it was more important for Shiyu to increase his strength as soon as possible. After all, President Lin had already appointed Shiyu and Lu Qingyi to participate in the world competition. Principal Feng could only sigh and express his support. Chapter 560, A Changing Fate, 3. Chapter 560, Changing Fate, 3. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Shiyu also sighed and asked, have you confirmed the specific departure time of the 7 Islands exchange team? It's about half a month later. After all, going out requires a lot of manpower and financial resources. During this period, we definitely have to prepare more transaction materials. By the way, the reason why the establishment of the Iron-Eating Beast Corps is on the right track this time is also because the Dong Huang exchange team bought a lot of first-stage evolution materials for the Iron-Eating Beast in other countries. Unfortunately, the second-stage evolution metal needed to carve inscriptions was only found with a piece of divine space iron. You don't need it. Shiyu indeed had no use for the divine space iron, a level 8 material that was used to awaken the space quake skill. After being stunned, Shiyu said regretfully, looks like the path is completely cut off. He still had to study it himself. Principal Feng, I'm hanging up first. I've arrived.
Ooh? Aren't you at Ancient Capital University?
Where did you go? Principal Feng asked. Wuling City, came to take a look at the Iron-Eating Beast Corps. Before going abroad, I'll give them some pointers. Perhaps they'll be first in the army competition.
Principal Feng?
At the same time that Shiyu arrived at Wuling City, the Iron-Eating Beast Corps recruits from all over the country also gathered in the new recruit camp outside Emperor Wu ruins. There were more than 1,000 people in the entire team. All of them had contracted iron-eating beasts. Among them, there were 3 master-level beast tamers. Commander Lin Hongyan contracted a Monarch Level 9 Li Battle Beast, Deputy Commander Whitebrook contracted an Awakened Level Royal Iron-Eating Beast Cub, and Feeder Lin Xiuzhu contracted a Commander Level Iron-Eating Beast. The remaining 1,000 ordinary soldiers all contracted Transcendent Iron-Eating Beasts. Those who didn't reach Commander rank. After all, the Iron-Eating Beast's race level was only Transcendent. If it wanted its growth level to break through the racial restriction and reach Commander rank, it wasn't something that ordinary people could do in the short term. In the new recruit camp, a female soldier in her 20s was looking for a place to stay. Zhuang Yu. Quasi-professional beast tamer, Ping Cheng. Because the iron-eating beast was too cute and its racial attributes were not bad, in addition to the discount for the locals of Ping Cheng, she chose the iron-eating beast as her initial pet. However, the cultivation difficulty of the iron-eating beast was much higher than she imagined. It took her a long time to nurture the iron-eating beast to the transcendent level and participate in this year's Icefield City Vocation Assessment. Unfortunately, because her strength didn't meet the standard, she still couldn't pass. Although the family didn't say anything, Zhuang Yu herself couldn't accept this outcome when she thought of the investment her family had made in her all these years. Although she could still continue taking the exam next year, when she thought of her talent and the daily savings at home, Zhuang Yu understood that her future was already destined. Choosing the iron-eating beast, was it the wrong choice? If she had chosen other pets back then, would she have already passed the vocation assessment? Along the way, Zhuang Yu had originally complained a few times in her heart. However, from the beginning to the end, there was a figure guiding her forward. This person was Shi Yu. That day, she and her friend passed by the public training ground and saw Chen Kai, a top student in her class, commanding his ice-armored beast to fight a beast tamer who commanded iron-eating beasts. That iron-eating beast was very strong. It instantly killed the unhindered class ice-armored beast. The iron-eating beast's beast tamer also attracted her attention. Soon after, she coincidentally went to the countryside with Shi Yu to carry out the association mission to eliminate the earth mice. She once again saw how extraordinary Shi Yu's iron-eating beast was. It was self-disciplined, hard-working, and powerful. If her iron-eating beast was also like this, how good would that be? However, it was naturally impossible for pets to be completely the same. Wang Yu's situation didn't improve until the archaeologist named Shi Yu became the top scholar of the vocation assessment in ancient capital and discovered the evolution of the iron-eating beast. Once this news was announced, it could be said to be a pleasant surprise for the beast tamers who contracted iron-eating beasts all over the country. Iron-eating beasts had the evolution form of a monarch. After that, Zhuang Yu was filled with motivation again. Not only did she successfully reach level 2, but the iron-eating beast was also cultivated to the transcendent level. During this period, Shi Yu became the national champion and discovered that the iron-eating beast had undergone a second stage evolution. The information that the iron-eating beast suspected to be Emperor Wu's trump card battle pet had been dug up by Shi Yu, and they tried their best to encourage the iron-eating beast tamers. Unfortunately, under this motivation, Zhuang Yu still failed the vocation assessment even in a second-level city like Icefield City. She was discouraged again and realized the difference between beast tamers. Even at this point, Wang Yu was actually still very grateful to Shi Yu. Because of Shi Yu's experience, the current rarity of the iron-eating beast had long exceeded that of a monarch pet cub. It was no longer something ordinary people could afford. Not only did it require a large amount of money, but it also needed a recommendation spot. And these lucky people who had contracted iron-eating beasts very early were clearly lucky. It was as if they had just bought a house cheaply and the property price immediately increased tenfold. Now, beast tamers who had contracted iron-eating beasts, even if they were ordinary employees at the iron-eating beast amusement park in Pingcheng, or if they had some acting talent and cooperated with the iron-eating beasts to perform some shows, they could get a pretty good salary. Because of this, Zhuang Yu fell into deep thought. She wondered if she should recognize her ordinary self and not pursue illusory dreams. She might as well do an ordinary profession and subsidize her family, but at this moment, surprise came again. The iron-eating beast corps was established and recruited beast tamers under the age of 30 who had contracted iron-eating beasts. As long as she joined the army, the benefits and treatment would correspond to high-level professional beast tamers. The country would cover the cost of cultivating the iron-eating beast.